Right, it is time for us to start our class this morning. We have a wonderful lesson. This is one of my favorite all time stories. I love it, love it, love it. We're going to be talking about Daniel in the lion's den. All right. Last week, well, these past few weeks, we have been studying about Daniel. We have been studying about the three Hebrew children, and we learned about them walking in the fire where King Nebuchadnezzar got mad and threw them in the fire. So now we are going to be talking about Daniel being thrown in the lion's den. I love it. All right. You guys who haven't been able to be here in a week or so because of vacations, work, all these different things, I'm so glad to see you today. We had a lot of people out sick last week. I'm so glad that you're feeling better today. I thank God for it. All right. Bryson, I'm so excited that you get to see me today. Shoo. I mean, he is so happy all because of that. I just want everybody to know that. Isn't that right, Bryson? That's exactly right. All right. Sometimes you just got to turn it on yourself. I can compliment myself probably better than anybody. I'm not going to because the Bible teaches that we're not supposed to. You've heard the phrase, you're not supposed to toot your own horn. Do you realize that's in Proverbs? It's written that you're not supposed to blow your own trumpet. That you're supposed to let the brother blow the trumpet about you. That means let somebody else brag on you. That is exactly right. In Ephesians, it talks about edification, how we are supposed to edify each other. Edify means to build up. All right, before I get too sidetracked, not that I haven't already been. If you will, let's go ahead and start with our giving and receiving of tithes and offerings. Brother Sammy, will you do us the honor on that, sir? And I'm going to double check that we actually have sound this week. Last week, not so good on getting sound. But that's all right. This week, everything looks like it's working. Yay! I hear it. Good deal. Okay, so when you see me messing with my phone, I have Facebook going, and I cut it up every once in a while because it goes through my hearing aids, and that way, if the sound works, I hear it through my hearing aids. Y'all won't hear me hear it, but just know I have not lost my mind completely. I'm just checking out some stuff, all right? And sometimes people will give prayer requests or things like that, and I do try to respond to them. I mean, think about it. If they can't get to church, now if they can get to church, you need to come in person, okay? If y'all can come in person, you need to do that. But if you can't get here, it's a wonderful thing to use. But if you can get here, though, it's so much better to be together and to fellowship. All right? But we all have things that take place. Brother Sammy's going to come around. He's taking up this offering for us. When he is finished, we're going to pray over the offering and this lesson so we can dive right into it. As a matter of fact, Brother Sammy, if you don't mind, stand still right there. Amy, pray over this for us. Amen. All right. We're going to go ahead and get in that. Now, I do want to remind you, today is Graduate and Achievement Sunday. We have a high school graduate. She's got her table set up over here. Isn't that snazzy? I thought that was pretty snazzy. Anyway, we have one high school graduate that we're celebrating with, and then when you go out into the back hallways, we are celebrating with every one of our students because we want them to know we support them, we love them, and we are so proud of them, okay? So let's make sure that we show our support. All right, in the lion's den, we're going to be studying out of the book of Daniel again. This is chapter 6. Our first point is going to be a conspiracy against Daniel. Second, Daniel's faithfulness invites a challenge. And then third, God delivers and is revered. Our central truth today: when faithfulness to God is challenged, we must remain steadfast. Our focus: appreciate Daniel's unwavering faithfulness to God and commit to remain faithful amidst any challenge. Evangelism emphasis: faithfulness to God is a witness to unbelievers. And then our golden text today is from Daniel 6 and 10. When Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Go back, rewind. Think about Daniel. Now, if you remember, how old was Daniel and his friends, the 3 Hebrew children? Remember, they were pals, okay? Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were buddies. How old were they? Are you okay? All right. Derek's got it under control. She's good. She'll be just fine. Brother Derek's got it taken care of. Sister Amy, if you wouldn't mind to go check in the restroom. All right. We got to watch out for each other now, children. Got to watch out for each other. All right. So, Daniel, what was I asking? How old were they when they were taken into captivity, Babylonian captivity? They were teenagers. And when I say teenagers, I'm talking like 14, 15-year-old boys when they were put into slavery. And they were taken because everything about them just exemplified excellence. And the king, his guards, the people, they knew when they saw them. They knew when they met them that, you know what, these young men are special. And they took them and they put them to work in the king's house. Okay? So, from the king's house, Daniel and the boys are in there. They were all, if you've been paying attention these past couple of weeks, they were all brought up. They were promoted. They were raised in that king's house pretty much for the rest of their lives. And they were all put into leadership positions. It did not matter that they were slaves. It did not matter that they were taken as prisoners. Their character came out, and they were able to see, hey, these guys are special. They have something. Daniel, at this point, is going on of the age of 85. Let's think about that. Over 70 years. I love you, Peggy. Over 70 years, he has served in the king's house. And he has always served in a position of leadership. And he didn't get that position just because, ooh, he's a nice boy. No. Once they saw his excellence, God started to work. God started to use him. God started to put him in situations to where the king couldn't help but see him and notice him. Look with me at Daniel chapter 6, verse 1 through 3. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because of an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Okay, first, let's find out who in the world is Darius. What number of king is this for Daniel? Nebuchadnezzar was the first one. The second one we heard about last week, I can't remember his name. It was Belshazzar. That was the second one. This one is the third king. Yeah. Darius came in Now, Belshazzar, he was Nebuchadnezzar's son. Okay? So Nebuchadnezzar gets old. It stays in the family line. Son takes over as king. But Darius was not a Babylonian. Darius actually came in with the Medes, and they conquered the Babylonians. They took over, and Darius became the king. But it was common practice for them that if they took over a country, the people who were in leadership, if they would agree to follow that king, follow Darius's lead, if they would just agree to do that, he usually left them in their position. Now, if they came back and tried to stab him in the back or something like that, I'm talking metaphorically here, if they didn't do the things that he wanted them to do, then of course he'd remove them, kill them, whatever, get rid of them from that leadership position. But as long as they would agree to serve him, he would leave them alone. Well, Daniel was a slave anyhow. So he agreed, well, of course, I'll go by your rules. As long as they don't interfere what God wanted Daniel to do. Daniel had a relationship with God, and he was going to stick to it. Just like those 3 Hebrew children. Remember how they would not bow to the image that was set up before them? That's what got them thrown into the fire, right? Well, Daniel's here, and he's like, yeah, I'll do what you want as long as it doesn't interfere with my God. So Darius left him. So Darius is a smart king, though. He has all these people. He knows that he can't handle everything. He delegates. He creates 120 princes, and he sets them over the people. It's kind of like us having a mayor, and then having a governor, and then having Congress people, and then having senators. You go up the line until you get to the main person. In this situation, it started with the princes. And then the princes had over them 3 presidents. So pretty much each president had 40 princes that would come back and talk to them, tell them what's going on. But out of those 3 presidents, who did the king like best? Daniel. Daniel was one of the 3 presidents. And the king liked Daniel best. There was just something about him. When you read in verse number 3, it says in the last part, because an excellent spirit was in him. And not only did he like him the best, he thought about setting him up over the whole kingdom, the whole realm. Let's look at verse number 4. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. All right, I want to rewind for a second. There's this little snippet, little gray box on page 327 titled Christian Character. Oh, this is true. Christian character. Our character is determined not by our circumstances. Your situation, your circumstance, that doesn't determine your character, but by your reaction to those circumstances. The situation you're in, it doesn't determine how you are. No. What defines you is what comes out from inside. If something goes wrong, how do you handle it? Do you get upset? Do you get mad? Do you want to scream and shout? Do you want to cuss them? All right? Think about that. Whatever comes out, that's what you're full of. I went back there to the coffee pot. I looked in it. I went to pour stuff out. Guess what poured out of that coffee pot? Coffee. Why? Well, that's what was in it. When you are in a situation and something gets a hold of you and it starts pouring out, what are they going to pour out? What are you filled with? Some people are filled with anger. Some people are filled with fear. Some people are filled with jealousy. These guys, they were filled with jealousy. You have to understand that you've got a bunch of Babylonians, okay, that were in these leadership positions, And you have some of the king's actual people that he put into the positions, and they're answering to a slave. He wasn't born there. He's not from around there, and here they're putting him over them. Have any of y'all ever had a job and they bring some outsider in to be your boss that's never done your job? And you have to listen to them. Nothing irritated me more while I was a teacher than to have a principal who had never taught the grade that I was teaching come in and do an evaluation on me. Because I wanted to look at them and say, how do you know what you're talking about? How long did you teach sixth grade? Because every grade, in my opinion, is different and has a special need. Every grade. Sixth grade, hormonally challenged. They don't quite pick up on the sarcasm. Half of them do, half of them don't. Half of them you can still make cry in a heartbeat. Half of them want to fight back because they are in just pure hormonal trouble. That's all I know to describe it. Boys do not understand why the girls are so doggone hateful. They don't get what's going on. The girls don't understand why the boys are being so stupid. Why are they so immature? It's just a whole world. That's sixth grade for you in a nutshell. And if you haven't taught it, after I did teach it for 16 years straight, who are you to come in and tell me what to do on my job? You see what I'm saying? These guys felt the same way. They're the ones that had grown up with all these certain people. They knew the rules, the laws, the commands, what was supposed to go on. And here he wanted to bring in this outsider, a Hebrew, and put him as one of the main people, if not the main people, to answer to. What was this king thinking? And they got jealous. And what happens when people get jealous? They start getting evil. They start getting bitter. They start getting hateful, hatred. They do anything they can to tear that person down. And that's exactly what they did. In verse number 4 again, then the princes and presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel. Okay, guys, we got to watch carefully. There's something he's doing wrong. He's got to be doing something wrong that we can rat him out and get him out of here. But look at verse number 5. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Guys, listen, he is not doing anything wrong. He's following every rule to the T, all right? He has really pinned it down. He's doing what he's supposed to do. We are never going to find anything wrong with him unless it's something to do with his religion. We can get him there. Verse number 6. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. Okay, they came up with an idea. Listen to this idea. This is something else. Verse number 7. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. All right, let's translate that. Here goes the Stellania White translation. Okay, king, it's like this. All of us leaders, we got together, and this is what we think. Nobody should ask or pray of anything unless it is of the king. It'd be like, we got Queen Trinity back here. All right? You're not allowed to ask about anything unless you go straight to Queen Trinity. If she doesn't okay it, then forget it. Because she's the one in control. That's what all these guys were telling the king. We want to do this for 30 days. For 30 days, everybody has to make sure it's okay with Queen Trinity. Priscilla, if you decide to go to town and you don't ask permission from Queen Trinity, guess what's going to happen? We're throwing you to the lions. 30 days, it's going to be like that. And these guys were convincing. I mean, think about it. They're telling the king, listen, king, you are so important. You are so awesome. You are so good. Everybody has to come to you to get permission for anything, or else they die. That's how awesome you are. Now, Trinity, in that situation, wouldn't that make you feel good as the queen to be like, ooh, I'm so important that everybody has to come to me? Wouldn't that make you feel good? Wouldn't that kind of stroke the old feathers just the right way? To where, look at me, I'm all that, and 2 bags of chips. All right? That's how important I am to these guys. And they convinced the king to do this very thing. He fell for it. He's like, I like that idea. I am that special. But you see, the king forgot about Daniel at this point. Have you ever had anybody brag on you, compliment you, and it kind of blinds you from what's really going on? It distracts your attention. Okay? You might go into a situation that's nothing but bad, and you're like, oh, man, I'm going to have to take care of this whole thing. But instead, they come in, and they're like, oh, look at you. Aren't you looking good today? That can blind you in a heartbeat. The devil knows how to use that. Have you ever read in the Bible where it talks about do not believe or really listen to those who constantly compliment you? It teaches that in the Bible. If their mouth is only full of compliments, you better look out. If all they ever say to you is, oh, Maddie, you so pretty. Look how smart you are. And they never tell you anything bad, look out. There's a problem. Okay? They're trying to deceive. That's what the Bible teaches. It tells, don't listen to that. Do not listen to that. The truth isn't going to always make you feel good. Yes, Janie? Well, I can edify you and build you up and still tell you the truth about what you're doing. Because it's not what you say sometimes as much as how you say it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the discernment will come through to where you're like, there's just something about you I don't care for. I know you're telling me how good I look, but there's just something about you. And that is very difficult at younger ages. Ella, do you remember when guys would want to hit on you, but you didn't necessarily care for them? And what they would say, even though it was complimentary to you, it was just kind of like, don't care for that. You remember that feeling? See, as Christians, we have to be very careful because that doesn't end with youth, okay? As we mature, it's easier to find, okay? It's easier to tell, it's easier to discern, but it doesn't end necessarily. And it can lead you into some bad stuff. And it continues, it continues all the way on through the rest of your life. Parents, if one of your children come to you and they only have good things to tell you, oh, have I told you how much I love you? Have I told you lately how wonderful? What do we say? What do you want? What do you want? We know they're out for something. It's a deceitful trick. The devil uses that trick on everyone. And we need to be able to recognize that. Yeah, our kids use that, and we usually give in because that's our kids. We love them. But I'm talking about in everyday life, okay? These guys, they knew just exactly how to get that king convinced. They went straight in there and, listen, king, you are so important. We have decided it should be like this, okay? Hang on, Gemini is talking to me, and I don't want to talk to him. Okay. Sometimes it happens. But understand, the devil's trying to deceive us any way he can. And he will use, the Bible even teaches that he will use what looks like an angel. Let me tell you something, guys. If it looks good, sounds good, smells good, probably not good. I remember my mother telling me that when I'd find a new fella that I liked, she'd always say, you better be careful. If it looks good, sounds good, smells good, be careful. Because usually they're trying to lead you into something that you should not be doing through God. Is that how it was, Bryson? Bryson's like, man, she was like that. He fell for it, couldn't help himself. Just playing. Anyway, we like to pick at Bryson and Ella. They're just fun. Yeah. Daniel was being watched constantly. We also need to realize that as Christians. Let me tell you, everywhere you go, people are watching you. When you leave home and you're by yourself, especially, they're going to watch how you handle every situation. I want you to look at them. They fly off the handle at nothing. I want you to listen to that mouth. Well, if that's a Christian, I'm going to heaven without ever trying. I've had people tell me that. I'll try to talk to them about Jesus, and they're like, listen, if old so-and-so who says they're a Christian goes to heaven, I'm already in the front seat. I don't have to even try. See, we need to watch ourselves. If we live according to God, well, if you live according to God and God's Word, you don't have to watch yourself that close. If we live according to the Word of God, we are living blamelessly, aren't we? Look at verse number 10. They convince the king of this thing. They're like, hey, for the next 30 days, this is how it's going to be. And Daniel, in verse number 10, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime. That means he didn't change. He did not change. The practice of the Jewish people was to pray morning, noon, evening, and you always pray facing Jerusalem. And if you'll notice, he opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and he prayed. Notice, what was the first thing it says after and prayed? What did he do? Last 3 lines. 3 times a day and prayed and what? Gave thanks. You see, we don't just need to pray and God, take care of this. God, take care of that. God, please touch this. God, help me do this. No, we need to thank God for His blessings. While I was praying this morning over our service, I thanked God for that table. I thanked God for Trinity. I thank God for everything she had accomplished and every blessing that He had given her so far in her life. I thanked God for Alex and AJ. I thank God for Xander and Jalen. I tried my best to go through and thank God for every single one of our children and all the blessings that they have received this school year. Because if it weren't for God, they wouldn't have those abilities. Don't think, oh, they just took it after their mama and their daddy. Oh, no, they didn't. God blessed them because of that purpose. God has a specific thing that He has for our children. You know what? His call, it is without repentance. And where does that call start? At birth. Because we are put here to train and to train them correctly. Yes, ma'am. I like that sign. She said she sees a sign on her way to work that says, you are created on purpose for a purpose. And yes, you are. Nobody is a mistake. Nobody is a mistake. My mom and dad, I know straight up, my parents were very honest people. They told me just straight what they was thinking. And I asked them, did you mean to have me? Yes, I'm one of those kids. And Mama looked at me and she goes, I'm going to be honest with you. No. You were our oopsie baby. Yes. No wonder we get along so well. See, we should have a club. Anyway. But she told me just straight up, she goes, we had planned on having one child. We had planned on having your sister. And that's all that we had planned on. And when I found out that you were coming along, it was quite the surprise and shock. I said, well, I'm glad to know that I was totally wanted. And I was supposed to be a boy. They had my name picked out. My name was supposed to be Stephen Charles. What was yours? I like Stephen Charles better. Well, Mama said that when she found out that she was pregnant again and they were thinking that it was a boy, that since she already had a girl, she got to praying, and she prayed me into being a girl, that she wasn't having no boy. She wanted two of whatever kind she got, and since she already had one girl, she needed two girls. Well, oops. So here I am. If y'all don't like it, you blame Maxine Ramsey. But guess what? She's already dead and in heaven, and she don't care what you think. All right? So, yeah, she wouldn't if you was here. Oh, she cared one time about something. And I know I've told y'all this. She cared about the color of her casket. She cared about what people would think on that one, and she asked me, of all people, she asked me, sometimes I'm a little bit too much like her. She said, do you think people will think I'm weird if I have a black casket since I'm a girl? I said, Mama, first of all, who cares what anybody thinks? And second of all, you'll be dead, so what does it matter? It was a very sensitive time, but I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it. We didn't have time for all that mess. And she was like, well, I guess you're right. I want a black casket. I said, all right, you got it. Because she planned down to the hairdo and the dress and everything. Told me where to find it in the closet. You go in that closet and you get this dress and you make sure that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know, that's the only time I think she cared. But you know what? We need to care about one. You know what that one is? He is God. Okay? That's who we care about. Is it easy to do that? Not always. There's this thing called peer pressure out there, and I don't care how old you are, it exists. I know I put peer pressure on people all the time. Talk to Mater, she'll tell you. Don't I, Mater? You see, she's in the box running the computer now. Woohoo! Go, Mater! I love it. I'm not sure who's next. Anyway. And then when I need somebody to do something next, that peer pressure going to come out again. But that peer pressure is for God, not against. All right, so here Daniel knew he signed it. Oh, and you know what they did? When those guys went to the king and said, listen, king, we have this idea. If anybody wants to do anything, they need to ask you. For the next 30 days, they only ask you. And when you sign this into law, make it to where nobody can change it. You can't go back on it, not even yourself. See, they knew that the king liked Daniel. They knew that he thought he was, all that. He was the chosen child. Anybody have a chosen child in the family? I used to say my sister was my mama's chosen child. I was my daddy's chosen child. It's shameful, but hey, it happens, you know. And I bet everybody in here knows who the black sheep was, probably yourself. I'm going to give you a microphone, Priscilla, or I'm going to tell on you. Anyway, she's in here causing all kinds of trouble. I know her mom and daddy and her sister. Anyway, think about this, though. The king went along with it. The king! He went along with it. He signed it into law. It was all God's plan. Because you know what? It worked out for the glory of God, didn't it? I apologize that I have to take a drink. I have some medication that dries me out. So you all, and I know you don't want no dry sermon, right? Ah, ha, ha. This ain't sermon, it's teaching. Anyway, just understand that. So, Daniel, he hears about this law. They announce it to the whole kingdom. And what did Daniel do? The exact same thing he did every day. He went and he prayed to God, just like always. Why? Because he was committed. Are you committed? When things change and they say, hey, we're not allowed to go to church. We're not allowed to gather and worship. We're not allowed to praise Jesus. Are you going to be strong enough to keep on going? That's what I ask myself. Am I going to be strong enough to keep on keeping on for Jesus when I have everything put on me? I'll be honest with you. When Brother and Sister Kashuba talked to us about their ministry and how they felt God was leading them stronger into that ministry to where they would not be taking care of the sound room anymore, I immediately broke down in tears for many different reasons. But do you know that one of those reasons was because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to handle everything? Fear came out of me. I'm ashamed of it now. But all I could think was, oh my goodness, how am I going to handle all this? Talk to me, Trinity. What did you just say? Do not be afraid. Do not be anxious for anything. Did y'all hear that when she applied to Northeast State? Yes, and we have those fears. Did you get accepted? Absolutely. Our girl is planning on being a veterinarian. So we've got that acceptance letter. After church, you guys have to come up and see it. Very proud of Miss Trinity and everything she's accomplished. Did you hear that out of Joshua 1:9? That is awesome. That scripture is wonderful. And the Bible, over and over and over, it tells us, don't be afraid. Don't be anxious. Daniel wasn't afraid. Verse 11, then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before God. So what'd they do? They ran to the king. Oh, we got to tell on Daniel. Yep. And they're like, hey, king, you signed this in the law. Let's jump on over to verse number 16. Verse 16 says, then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. Oh, you know what that tells me right there? Oh, king had some believing in him. He didn't say, I hope your God delivers you. No, he said, he will deliver thee. And if you'll notice, he says, thy God whom thou servest, that God's capitalized. That's a recognition of God's power. So here's this 85-year-old man thrown into these lions' den. And let me tell you, they didn't feed these lions on a regular basis. They starved them on purpose because when they threw in somebody for punishment, they wanted them killed. Okay? They wanted those lions to immediately attack and devour. So here they throw in Daniel. The king didn't like it. Look at verse number 18. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. He didn't sleep all night long. Why? Because he was worried about Daniel. He did not want Daniel to die. But they had him sign that he couldn't go back on the law. It finally came all together. He was like, man, they talked me into this. Don't you know that those guys that talked him into that, they were having a celebration? They're like, yeah, buddy, Daniel's gone. They probably were listening for the roar and the chomping. But instead, look at verse number 19. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice. Lamentable means very sad, bothered, upset, okay? He was very bothered. He cried out unto Daniel. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Now imagine this. He hasn't looked in there. He doesn't know. He hasn't been out there. It's been all night long. And he is upset. I dare say it sounded something like this. Oh, Daniel, servant of the living God, is that God whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? He was upset, okay? He was very upset. He loved Daniel. Daniel was his pig. He was upset. How do you sound when you're very upset? If somebody came to you and told you that your best friend just died, and you were the reason, would you not be very upset? If somebody came to you and said, hey, Pastor Jim just got thrown into a den of lions, you somebody else, that one upset you too much? See? You've got to imagine this for reality, guys. You got to see it for what it really is. Once upon a time, it wouldn't hit home as well, Miss Peggy. Once upon a time, I would watch these YouTube videos and things on Facebook about soldiers coming home. I would watch them. They didn't bother me at all. I'd watch them and I'd be happy for them. I'd be like, oh, look how sweet. They're so excited. Their family member came home. And then I went through it. And I experienced it myself. Now, when I watch one of those, I can't help to just well up and want to cry. Because the feeling, I can't explain it. To know that your loved one is safe. To know that they are going to get to come home to you. When it could have gone so many different ways. And when you see that, you feel it. So, yeah, it has to hit home for us to understand. And look at verse, well, I can't see anything right now. Hang on. Let me get the tears out. Look at I'll look at the TV. All right, verse number 20. And when he came to verse number 21. Go 21. Yeah, there we go. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. Don't you know that king about shouted when he heard that? Verse 22. My God hath sent his angels and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me. And also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Daniel flat out said, listen, I didn't do anything wrong. God knows I didn't do anything wrong. And those lions shut their mouth. I bet he used them as pillows, and they probably slept alongside him to keep him warm. Verse number 23. Then was the king exceeding glad for him. He was one happy fella about it. This is why we have to keep these Kleenexes, because I leak. That means I cry a lot. And there's a saying that goes with that. As long as your head leaks, it doesn't swell. Aha, like that? You should. My head should never swell. Lord, it leaks too much. Anyway, he was exceedingly glad for him and commanded, get him out of there. So Daniel was taken out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found on him. What happens When the king sees that Daniel is totally fine. Verse 26. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. God just kept on building him up. If you read over in, I believe it's in Psalms, where it says, if you will raise God up, he will draw all men unto him. Well, how's he going to draw those men unto him? Through us. We lift up God, he's going to bring people to us to learn about him. Okay? And when that happens, that respect, that reverence, that's going to build. As that builds, God's going to continue lifting you up too. Okay? Now let me tell you, you have to be willing to stand for God. Okay? I don't care about the situation. A lot of people just about live in hell on earth. And a lot of people live in that because they want to live for God. But let me tell you, if you're never rewarded here on earth, you have eternity with a heavenly Father. You have heaven waiting for you as your home. You have a mansion being built just for you. Just think about that. Think about how blessed you are anyway. And you know what? Chances are, for those people who do supposedly live in such a bad situation, chances are you made all the choices that got you in that very situation. So when you look at it that way, you've got one person to blame. Yourself. If you want to talk about your spouse and how awful they are, well, didn't you pick them? We don't do shotgun weddings anymore. Last time I checked. You see what I'm saying? You get into situations that you're like, oh, Lord, I can't stand this, that person, they're this way, that way, and the other. Didn't you pick to be in that situation? We need to think about that. Think about our choices. Daniel's choice, serve God. Remember that our memory verse is Daniel 6 and 10. We'll read that together. I want you to take a minute to welcome each other. I'm so proud of every one of you guys for being here this morning for Sunday school. Please make sure that you always come to Sunday school. This is where we get to talk. You know, you can ask questions, you can make comments. It's wonderful. Take a minute, welcome each other, say hey, say I love you, all that other good stuff. I hope you learned something today. Miss Janie?